I want to do some pro wrestling roundup. We're going to go across a couple of different companies. We're going to go and hit some of the bigger stories that are out there, kind of tying a bow on the Fed stuff because, frankly, they took a good approach to this, but then also quite possibly the lamest approach to this because, oh, guess what? Cody's going to be finishing the story at WrestleMania 40. He's going to, I would imagine, okay, this is just me fantasy booking over the top of this. Okay, The Rock ultimately cost Cody. They go on to this, goofy little program that'll just last maybe for a little while, and then he'll be able to finish the story in the third attempt because it's kind of the way that New Japan ended up booking the Tetsuya Naito, ultimately, achieving his conquest of, being an accepted face of the brand. And, well, Triple H just basically, piggybacks off of everybody else's previous legacy booking decisions. So why would he go ahead and buck the trend right there? And especially after The Rock, let's keep it a buck, okay? Everything that he was doing in the lead up to this goofy-ass press conference, which, okay, after everything was all said and done, it was a super viral moment for WWE, it didn't even crack the top 10 over the weekend after that press event went down in Google searches. It was an absolute blip in the ocean, man. Even with The Rock, nobody was talking about that. Hell, the announcement of Moana 2 trended better than The Rock going down there, cutting a heel promo, getting all the heat that he did, and him stepping aside or slapping Cody in the face, calling him a punk ass, and I don't know, just going full 1997 Rock. I guess maybe this is more like Hollywood Rock, but who really knows? But Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson still bitter about the fact that, yeah, he came back and I was alluding to this earlier, but everything was all set up for him and Roman to square off at WrestleMania. He was talking about that. There was absolutely nothing after he came back. And what was that? Birmingham, Alabama. He got that thunderous ovation, which I'm sure is pretty much crowd sweetened and also a part of his theme song. But whatever, man. People are genuinely surprised and super happy to see The Rock, even though he was never really my guy back during his heyday, but that's my biases aside. Everything was all set up for him and Roman to headline WrestleMania until that absolute avalanche of "We Want Cody" was trending everywhere. And hey, man, kudos to Hunter on this one for actually pivoting on that plan, because within an instant, by the time that Monday rolled around, the heavy work aspect was definitely coming out, where you could see that, oh yeah, this is being played into a storyline. And then by the end of the week, the main event that was teased at the Royal Rumble was already on. But yeah, I guess if you're interested in what the Fed's doing in the lead up to, WrestleMania 40, what's the rest of the card going to look like? Don't know. You already put too much stock and too much faith in a bunch of injury-prone 40-year-olds. And what are you going to end up doing? Crowning a 40-year-old with your top title, and who's going to have a white meat babyface reign that the fans are going to turn on in less than 6 months. By the time SummerSlam rolls around, he's going to be trying to portray this character that got him booed out of the building in AEW towards the end of his run, where he's going to be going, oh, I tried to do this all for the fans, and end up running back his old not quite Homelander gimmick. Oh, it's going to be so much fun to watch all the E-drones just go ahead and cope when it comes to that. Meanwhile, over on the AEW side of life, getting the motherfucking Rainmaker, baby. Listen, okay, I'm not one of these Johnny-come-lately, so it's like, oh my god, I know everything about Okada. He is best Japanese guy I've seen since the Masahiro Chono. He's one of my favorites. I'm not going to be one of these assholes that says, I was with him all the way, back when he had that first square off against, Yoshihashi. He couldn't even do a proper Rainmaker. He was doing a sit-out variation of it. He had goofily, fitted robes. His tights were looking awkward. Not quite as bad as the long pants that he had for a couple of years. Not quite as hilarious as when he lost his record-breaking title reign and he was carrying balloons to the ring during the time of the G1. No. But when he had that surprise win at a New Beginning in 2012, where he took the IWGP Heavyweight Championship off of Hiroshi Tanahashi. The first time around, I've been there since the beginning. No. Actually, you can kind of thank the Fed and my curiosity, and then especially that was around the time that wrestling content was really starting to hit on YouTube. where I dipped my toe back in the product, but very quickly figured out that, oh yeah, that's still the Fed that I was fed up with all the way back in the day. Hadn't really changed all that much. I gave it 6 years, 7 years off, only to come back and go, oh yeah, somebody is still at the top that they're trying to push that nobody likes at all. Even bringing in guys like AJ Styles isn't going to do anything for the product, but the guys that they were bringing in, like AJ Styles, Carl Anderson, Doc Gallows, okay, and then there was another guy that was in there as well, and somebody who has just been wasted talent from the moment that he signed. Shinsuke Nakamura came over from New Japan Pro Wrestling, and well, now thanks to the advent of a good streaming service, New Japan was more easily accessible than ever before, and I just decided I really like this Nakamura guy. Not really liking any of the matches post the Sami Zayn one that he put on, so I'll just go ahead and see what his back catalog is, and oh my god, he is the coolest man alive. Why can't he have a stripper entrance like he had at Wrestle Kingdom 8? Why can't he be that cool? Why is he just, air guitar and violin guy? I don't like that. I like New Japan Nakamura, where he's posing in all leather, being a cross between Michael Jackson, Freddie Mercury, and Spike Spiegel. Could we just go ahead and get that? No. Oh, okay. The match that everybody was trying to sell him, and AJ Styles could still go at the time, was their final New Japan. Wasn't their final bout, so they had some New Year's Dash matches afterwards. But their last big headlining event was their match at Wrestle Kingdom 10, and well, that was fantastic, but it wasn't even the main event. That was, at the time, Kazuchika Okada finally overcoming Hiroshi Tanahashi on the biggest stage after previous failed attempts to beat him at Wrestle Kingdom, and it was one of the most fantastic matches I had ever seen in my life, and Okada quickly became one of my favorite wrestlers to watch. And between that time and 2016, probably all the way up to and including, because momentum for New Japan, and that's another topic for another time, really halted in 2020, which has kind of led to the mass exodus of talent that we're seeing right now with Tama Tonga dipping out, probably going to the Fed, doing something with that whole bloodline thing, which also leads me to believe that, yeah, there's probably still legs, even though the fans aren't going to want it. But you know what? Really make the fans want to see Roman Reigns dethroned. The 3 or 4 opportunities he has to work throughout the entire year. But no, just really build up that Cody story, which definitely they had in the back of their mind when they put the belt on Roman to begin with. Good long-term planning right there. Just wait for your competitors to build up somebody else and for you to just come in there and swipe them up. Whatever. We're talking about New Japan, and yeah, them having to shut down thanks to the Japanese government. That really killed that product that was working really hard up until the establishment of AEW, up until about 2019, but they still had a hell of a good talent pool. You had Kota Ibushi when he was actually still able to walk and perform. Tetsuya Naito wasn't quite a disaster yet. Shingo Takagi just came into the company. Will Ospreay was finding his footing. Hiromu Takahashi was having a great match with everybody in the junior division. Their tag and trios divisions have always historically been crap anyways, but the guys up at the top, the main card and the mid card and the upper mid card, was some fantastic stuff, especially headlined by the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada. And he gave his notice right at the beginning of the year that, his contract is going to be up and the unthinkable was going to happen. A 36-year-old Kazuchika Okada, still very much in his prime, very much with years left in the tank, was going to be hitting free agency. And there were some rumors out there that he was going to be heading to the Fed and he'd be starting up just about immediately in NXT. You're going to put the most, I'm not being hyperbolic, the most decorated NJPW champion of all time, the guy who was the face of the company for over a decade, you're going to put him in developmental because you want him to work the Fed style. I would have gave up professional wrestling wholesale if I would have heard the coin drop in Full Sail or wherever they filmed. Capital Wrestling, whatever the hell they call it. That would have been an embarrassment. But as quickly as that rumor came about, even more hastily, that rumor disappeared. And now, within the past couple of days, right off the back of his final singles match in the company, he's got a couple of dates left to fulfill right towards the end of February, 23rd and 24th, I think, the rest of the New Beginning tour, and then he's officially out of there. It looks like It looks like everything's all set up for him to officially sign with AEW, and to think that we're going to have a semi-regular Kazuchika Okada performance on broadcast television. Brother, I haven't been more excited about pro wrestling than I have right now, okay? Like, AEW signing up Will Ospreay, kind of feel bad for him because, once again, he gets overshadowed by Okada, but it's Okada, man. Like, come on. He's a Japanese Ric Flair, just without any of the problems or the, drinking habits. But Kazuchika Okada may have already made up his mind between AEW and the Fed. Fightful Select reported on Sunday that Okada is expected to sign with AEW following his departure from New Japan Pro Wrestling later this month. According to a report, the deal between Okada and AEW was effectively agreed to in the past couple of weeks, but Fightful has not confirmed that the contract has been signed. Fightful also said AEW has been confident that they would sign Okada for the last several weeks, and creative ideas have been tossed around back in January. I have my ideas, but we'll read through the rest of this brief article. Meltzer wrote Sunday's Daily Update. Everything that we've been led to believe for weeks is that it would be Okada's decision. We haven't gotten that confirmation passed as of Wednesday. They are talking like he is coming, but the belief is that he had not signed yet, but was going to do so. One person with knowledge of the situation said that he hadn't heard an official signing just yet, but that they had heard it was a done deal. On Sunday, Okada defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi at NJPW's New Beginning event in Osaka. He's expected to finish with the company following matches on the 23rd and 24th of this month. And yeah, AEW has a big old pay-per-view. They got the Revolution on the 3rd of March, and well, that event, well, you would think you'd have one of your tentpole pay-per-view events, the opportune place to go ahead and debut quite possibly the biggest signing in your company history. I understand it's like CM Punk's a bigger star, but somebody who's actually going to add value to the brand instead of just make it all about themselves. It's like it's Okada. It's like 1000% Okada. Hell, the last time that you brought in a big free agent signing, you debuted them at a big pay-per-view, and you made it a big event. You had this big announcement that, yep, we're going to have one of the top free agents coming, and there wasn't a disappointment that, Will Ospreay walked out on that Full Gear stage in 2023, and yep, he said that I won't be able to come around quite yet, but on the road to Revolution, I will be right there. But that event, it's already earmarked for, Sting, like the legendary Sting. His final match, okay, you got to kind of have, reverence on that one. They've already set up the world title match, okay. You got Samoa Joe and a, triple threat match, okay. He'll likely end up hanging on to the belt in his, first high profile defense. That makes sense. But very recently, AEW announced a very special edition of Dynamite, their Wednesday, their flagship show, was going to be at the TD Garden in Boston. Now, okay, heard about the big signing of Will Ospreay, Europe's shining offering for professional wrestling, but you come back to the Garden, you come back to Boston, and you want to call the show, the special show, Big Business. You want to call it Big Business, and well, everybody knew when it was announced, and this one had been alluded to several times before, kind of like when, back in 2021, it's like, hey guys, we're going to be running the United Center in Chicago, and we're going to call it the First Dance. And there's rumors that CM Punk could be coming around. It's like, we know exactly what's going to happen. You're calling it Big Business. You had Mercedes Mone, the former Sasha Banks, in the crowd for your big all-in event. It's like her hometown's Boston. You're calling it Big Business. That's her entire gimmick, that it's all around money. Yeah, man, totally makes sense, okay? What are you going to do? Just like the First Dance episode, you just go ahead and you debut her right at the beginning. You give her a microphone. She's a decent talker. Don't know what she's like without having, the corporate restraints over the top of it. Could be a hell of a good promo. You get that debut out of the way. And I'm telling you, man, if there is a world championship match announced for that show, if Samoa Joe is going to be defending that belt towards the end of that by the end of that show, we're going to see the debut of Okada in the closing segment after that match is over. You're going to hear that coin drop, and that place is going to go absolutely ballistic, because he's had what, 4 or 5 matches under the AEW banner, and he has gotten a superstar reaction. Very few people on that roster got the same reaction as Okada because he's a legit superstar, an international superstar. Hell, he sold out the Garden, Madison Square Garden, WrestleMania weekend back in, what would that have been, 2019? Yeah, that was the WrestleMania right before, the pandemic. And I'm just salivating at all the different matches that are just right there for the taking. And if he immediately, as he should, go after Samoa Joe's title, oh my God. Thinking about getting a fourth Kenny Omega match. It's like, it's not gonna be quite as big as it was back in 15 and 16, okay? The boy can dream, right? And then you're gonna get the third Danielson match, have a proper Jon Moxley match. Like that Samoa Joe match, like I know I'm immediately jumping to that, but oh my God, that's gonna be so good. I am hype. I'm super hype. Especially with Will Ospreay finally coming over. It's like I'm not even that big of an Ospreay fan, but I understand he is such a, tremendous talent where AEW, Tony Khan was letting everybody know that 2024 is going to be a bigger, better version of 2021 for the company. And well, let's hope that's true. But unfortunately, we can't end on a good note, on a happy note. We got to end on absolutely absurd note with former wrestler Billy Jack Haynes, somebody who was in the Fed for a cup of coffee back in the 80s. He was more or less a guy who was working the territories before Vince ended up sewing up everything. Oh my God, is that a bad name to say? Vince McMahon is a genius, and that bitch is just trying to get a bag out the door. Anyways, arrested after police standoff. Yeah, wife found dead in the couple's home. Yeah, this is not great. It's not great. Like I said, it's a wrestling roundup. They can't all be fantastic news stories. Retired wrestling star. Normally it's professional wrestling, but whatever. Who grappled with the likes of Ric Flair, Randy Savage during his nearly 15-year in-ring career, has been arrested for allegedly fatally shooting his wife in his Oregon home last Thursday. Ugh. Police responded to reports of gunfire at the Portland neighborhood of Lentz around 10 a.m. on February 8th and learned that Hayes, 70, was inside the residence and refusing to come out. With the help of SWAT teams, Hayes was taken into custody without incident after the 2-hour standoff. Police found his wife, Jeanette Beecraft, 85. He said, okay, whatever, dead inside the home. He's in police custody at a local hospital where he's being treated for a medical condition unrelated to the homicide and in contact with law enforcement. Oh man, that's absolutely crazy. Once he was released from hospital, which may be days from now, he's expected to be booked into jail. Haynes' charge will be released once he is booked. Longtime friend and neighbor said the couple was a fixture in the local community. Hayes often regaling local wrestling fans with war stories of his glory days. It's a huge tragedy. Somebody told KOIN, Coin, is pretty decent. Oh, I'm sorry. I was pretty decently close with both of them and loved them very much. It's a really sad day all around. And yeah, man, I don't want to get too much deeper into this because we don't really know a lot of the story behind this. And it's just another one of these super sad wrestling stories, which for as much as I like wrestling, I always got to keep it at like an arm's length because a lot of the people involved in the business aren't very good individuals, to break it to everybody. And especially with incidents like this, that really drives it home. And it's really, really sad, but then be the break sometimes. It's a carny business, and sometimes people have a carny end. I like to see it, but that's life. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.